The Democrats have been waging war on the American people from before the founding of the Democrat Party. They are the descendants of the monarchists who stepped onto American soil in 1607. Nobody in the world at that time had any knowledge of any other form of government other than that of a monarchy. As the American colonies governed themselves with a British monarch on the other side of the planet, a new, unique and revolutionary form of government evolved within them. It was something that has never been seen before anywhere else in the world. It's called individual liberty and accountability. In short, one may say, if you don't work, you don't eat, no exceptions. Many found it unacceptable that they should stray so far from the idea of being subjects of the crown as individual liberty and accountability demanded, that they pushed very hard to establish a strong central government at the time and its proactive involvement in commerce. In essence, they wanted a monarchy by remote control. But it failed miserably. These sympathizers with the king and the nobility were nothing other than elitists, seeing themselves as extensions of the nobility in Great Britain, who opposed with the nastiest venom any measure that would consider the people as free agents and the government appointed by their consent. The insolence, the impertinence. When the tyranny of the British monarchy finally brought an insurmountable divide between those who saw the benefits of a free people and those who only saw benefits in their own nobility and majesty, they went to war, the American Revolutionary War. The fact that the elitists lost the war did not make them go away. They fought with the vilest venom against the free people, or should I rather say, they fought against the American people, infiltrated their government, and sabotaged any attempts at propagating liberty at every turn. To further their agenda of them being the nobility and above the law, they did everything in their power to prevent the emancipation of the slaves, for example. They even created the Ku Klux Klan as the Democrat Party's militant wing to violently preserve an underclass which will be obedient to the nobility. When Democrats lost the Civil War, they once again went underground to continue their battle against liberty and prosperity for all. Losing the Civil War didn't eliminate the nobility. They just changed their tactics again. In 1803, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Marshall, usurped the jurisdiction of judicial review and embedded within the judiciary the seeds of the nobility, from where they would frequently rise and, like guerrilla fighters, strike unexpectedly to dismantle the republic. Republicans frequently campaigned to, quote, reach across the aisle to meet Democrats halfway. But Democrats never meet the Republicans halfway. Instead, Republicans have to walk all the way over to the Democrat side with gifts of incense, myrrh, new taxes, and entitlement spending as gifts, prostrate themselves and kiss the Democrats' ring. Then Democrats would take the gifts and choose how, when, and which petitions they will grant that the Republicans dare to bring into their presence. Any hardline Republican would be severely dealt with and destroyed at the Democrats' leisure. Their assault forces, the mainstream media, would make sure that any rogue Republican is ambushed in dark alleys and properly beaten into submission, and many have been killed. George Bush the Senior dared to raise his voice against the Democrats. Take a listen.
I'm the one who will not raise taxes. My opponent won't rule out raising taxes, but I will, and the Congress will push me to raise taxes, and I'll say no, and they'll push, and I'll say no, and they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips, no new taxes.
They ambushed him, and eventually, when the dust has settled, Bush agreed to tax hikes with spending cuts only occurring in 10 years, which never happened. That was not the result of negotiations, folks. The Democrats took the President of the United States to the woodshed, and he came out of it with the necessary meekness and obedience that suited a subject of the nobility. That was a slapdown of epic proportions and destroyed his presidency exactly as the Democrats wanted. They even managed to bamboozle Ronald Reagan with amnesty. Grant amnesty now, Mr. President, and we, the Democrats, will agree to safeguard the border in 10 years, which never happened. Wham! Another slap down. The Republicans became accustomed to the fact that being in the mere presence of their nobles is their highest good. Having tea and scones with them is their highest goal. Republicans were safe as long as they know their station in life. And now you know why everybody in the Republican and Democrat establishment are so livid and feared and panic-stricken that Donald Trump had such overwhelming support with the people. Where did that come from? Do we then not understand that we are not entitled to such liberties? Do we not understand that we are dealing with the majesty of the Democrats? How dare we? Look at Chuck Schumer's reaction now that it is clear that they have to deal with a president who is bowing down to nobody, especially not anti-American nobles like the Democrats are. Play Chuck Schumer. Let's take a listen.
I said, Mr. President-elect, you went after both the Democratic and Republican establishments when you ran. You were an anti-establishment change candidate. But by your cabinet picks and your early pronouncements, you seem to be embracing the time-worn, shop-worn, hard right.
You said that to him?
I did.
What did he say?
Nothing. But I said to him, if you do that, your presidency will not come close to being a success. The only way we're going to work with him is if he moves completely in our direction and abandons his Republican colleagues.
See the vitriol? See the rage at Trump's impertinence? See the demands that they make? Trump has to abandon his agenda? Well, let me translate that for you. It is we, us the people, who Chuck Schumer says have to abandon our principles before the Democrats would even listen to us. That's the ideology that came with the Mayflower when all of them were infected with a cancer of oppression and tyranny and a monarchy. To the nobility out there, you may have acted as if you are in control, and you may even have convinced a lot of people over many years that you are, but your employment contract is cast in stone. We, the people, are governed by our consent only. And we have just revoked that consent to prove to you that you are our subjects. We have appointed one of us to preside over our sovereignty. You're fired, Chuck Schumer. To my fellow Americans, I say, don't think that the Democrats have been beaten. We've gone down that path too many times before to make that mistake again. These people do not surrender, and they do not submit. They believe their nobility and superiority as they would believe in a religion. We have to keep them out of power. Now that the Democrats made their real age-old venom against free Americans known, like Chuck Schumer had done, we are all conscripted into the army to finally liberate America and do what the Revolution couldn't do and what the Civil War couldn't do. Only a non-politician could rip the covers off of the Democrats' clandestine war against Americans that has raged on since the first foot stepped onto Plymouth Rock. Join us in this war that the Democrats have been fighting for centuries by subscribing to our channel and going to our website libertysam.com and become a member. It's free. Thank you for watching. See you next time. We'll continue the story.